Hello everyone, good morning and welcome back to Sports Today. We bring you this video segment every single morning to help you catch up in things that you may have missed out on, whilst we of course catch up on some all important rest. Because let's face it, whilst you and I may sleep, the world of sport doesn't really sleep. Well, that's what we are here to actually talk to you about. We're going to bring you some things, some interesting facts, some interesting news from the world of sport that you might have been missing out on while you were catching up with some rest. So, without any further ado, let's just get straight to it. And let's first talk about a very nice record that Smriti Mandana made during the first T20I against Sri Lanka. What is that record? Well, she has now become the first Indian woman to score 4,000 runs in T20 cricket and the second women's cricketer overall to get to that particular record. Now, considering we know what it is that happened with Smriti in her personal life, the sudden calling off of her marriage and everything that preceded it, I'd say it's a very nice way to announce your comeback and really shows that she's picked up where it is that she's left off as far as the game is concerned. Because whilst a lot of us were obviously concerned about what it is that had happened with her, it's nice to see that she's managed to find her strength when it comes to the game, which again is something which she has admitted is her first love. Second major news from the day, and there's a couple of things really related to this. Jacob Duffy ended up taking 5 for 42 as New Zealand ended up bowling out the West Indies on 138 to win the third test and then take the three-match series 2-0. Now, it's an interesting record that Duffy managed to surpass during this particular test match. He surpassed Richard Hadley's New Zealand record of 80 wickets in a calendar year, having finished the series with 23 wickets at an average of 15.4, which, by the way, included three 5-wicket hauls. So, pretty massive series really for him. And it takes me to my third major news point of the day, which is that New Zealand, the inaugural WTC champions, the World Test Championship mace holders in 2021, very much in contention for being in the final come 2027 as well. Why do I say that? Because right now they are second in the table. Now, obviously, it's still early days. It's only the early point of 2020, the late point rather of 2025, and the final still about a year and a half or so away. But the fact that they're in second shows that yes, this is a team very much in contention and a team that seems to be finding itself a little bit in the absence of or in the aftermath of the major careers of the likes of Tim Southey, Trent Bolt, and obviously Kane Williamson. We know is playing, but it's very much on a series to series basis. Given he's in centrally contracted, but man, look at it this way: the fact is they are doing really well, and it wouldn't really be a big surprise if they were in contention for the WTC final, because again they are a quality side, always known to be punching well above their weight. Another bit of news, this time Ashes related. In fact, there are a couple of Ashes related things. Nathan Lyon could be out of the remainder of the Ashes because he unfortunately suffered a hamstring injury on the last day of the fourth day really of the third test in the Ashes. You remember that he went down whilst putting in a bit of an effort in the field and then had to be helped off the field because he was unable to walk off on his own. Well, now we're getting to know that it's actually a hamstring injury, and he had later returned to the dressing room, but he was on crutches. So again, not good news for Lyon. Again, you remember that he missed out on one test in this series. There was the pink ball test because of the fact that it was deemed that they didn't really need a spinner on that particular deck and with that particular ball. And now it seems like he's going to be missing out after having a very, very good test match. But of course, at this point in time, it won't be that much of a blow if you're looking at it from an Australia perspective because they have already sealed the Ashes. And speaking of the Ashes, England have in fact reached a point now where they know they cannot win the Ashes back. And Brendon McCullum has actually come out there and said that no, it looks like we've got our preparation wrong, and the kind of cricket that we were playing, it looked like at times we definitely weren't seeing the best of our side. It was nice of Baz to finally admit that he was wrong, but I will say that that admission has come too late in the series because well, the test series is gone now. You need to wait another 2 years for you to be able to retain the Ashes. However, he does believe that the team can still salvage some pride in the last two test matches. Between you and me, I seriously doubt that. But let's see. I think England will be lucky at this point to avoid a 5-0. That's actually how it is. I'm seeing it as of right now. And one more bit of news which has been doing the rounds a lot. Ishan Kishan's comeback into the Indian side. There's been a lot of debate about it, and many people said that it was, in fact, his exploits in domestic cricket, which also opened up the door just as much as India's necessity for a top order batter in the playing in the reserves, because now Sanju is your opener. And our Ashwin is of the opinion that Kishan got his call back because he finally gave the sport the respect it deserves. You have to remember that Kishan's comeback trail has been through a lot. You remember he took a break due to mental health reasons. Then he ended up not playing domestic cricket, and that was what led to him being dropped from the list of central contracts. After that, he's played domestic cricket and mixed times in the IPL. But what you're also getting to see is that he did come back to domestic, led Jharkhand to the Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy, and thereafter got the call up that he deserved. So he put in the game time, he put in the hard yards, and got his call back. That is what Ashwin is trying to say here. Switching focus now from the world of cricket to the world of football, and Manchester United fans, you may want to shut your ears because, well, your team ended up losing 2-1 to Aston Villa, courtesy of course, a Morgan Rogers brace. Obviously, this Villa team are not to be taken lightly. They're a very, very good side, and Unai Emery has, in fact, made them very good, potentially to the point that I'd say they are in contention for the title. And Morgan Rogers really has been key and has been central to that particular rise. His form has been phenomenal, and it continued on yesterday with two very well taken goals in this particular game. And right now, they're only about 2 points off or 3 points off Arsenal. So very, very close, heading into a very crucial time in the Premier League. We know that December is congested, but that is often when your title hunts can be made or broken. Unfortunately for United, this wasn't the only bad news coming out of the game, that they ended up dropping points once again, or dropping all points. Their skipper Bruno Fernandes is set for some time on the sidelines, and this has been confirmed by head coach Ruben Amorim, who said that it's a soft tissue issue and that he could potentially be missing a few games. They don't know how many yet, but it will be sometime on the sidelines. It will be a major blow because whilst where it is that Bruno is playing in the midfield can often seem like it's a bit of a waste, he still managed to be one of the more influential players, not just in terms of his work rate, but also in terms of his goals and assists. And so not having him will be a major blow for United. Also worth noting that another major injury concern that has come up is for Liverpool, where Alexander Isak now set to face a few months on the sidelines, which comes just after he had scored a goal against Tottenham Hotspur. He ended up getting injured, couldn't celebrate with his teammates, and had to be helped off. And the injury is a pretty concerning one for simple reasons, which has not been confirmed yet. But Liverpool fear that it is, in fact, a fracture, which could have him out for quite a while. And that's a major blow because, again, he just kind of started to find his feet after a record 125 million move from Newcastle. There'd been criticism of him. He had struggled for rhythm, and just at the time when it seemed like it was starting to click, he's now going to be facing a few months on the sidelines, which means that potentially this season could be seen as a write-off. Of course, Hugo Ekitike has been in good form for Liverpool, but not having both your strikers available, and that too for such a long period, it's going to be a problem. Last bit of news before we call it quits in this edition of the Morning Wrap. Australian tennis star and controversial man Nick Kyrgios is set to compete at the Brisbane International in January after he received a wildcard entry, with the organisers have confirmed, and the former Wimbledon finalist is now working towards a potential return at the Australian Open, which would be great news if you ask me for the sport, because again, when he's on form, he's shown that he can be a top tennis player, and his character is such that it attracts a lot of attention. And I think the sport of tennis really needs that. Unfortunately, he's not really been having the best of times with injuries, and he's barely been playing through most of the year. But if he can actually get back into some rhythm, it'll be interesting to see. He'll definitely, I think, will get a wild card from the Australian Open organizers because, again, home guy and will draw plenty of attention. So that's it from us in this edition of the Morning Wrap. Thank you guys so much as always for joining us. If you enjoy our work, please don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon. Follow us also on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. Stay tuned through the day for more such updates from the world of sports.